This seems to be falling apart, or whatever hope for unity the Speaker wanted to get from you and your Republican members. With what you've seen out of the Speaker thus far, what do you think?
I think it's anybody's guess, and that is the $33 trillion question, because that's the amount on our nation's debt. And one of the reasons that there are a number of Republicans up here on the Hill that are frustrated is because we said at the beginning of the year we would go back to regular order, we would have single subject appropriations or spending bills, that we would be more responsible in our approach to spending, and it's been anything but so far this year.
So let me get a sense from you what you want to see out of leadership in dealing with this issue, because the Senate Republicans say this is a House issue. It's in their hands. It's really Kevin McCarthy, but they are coming up with a plan of their own they think could hold muster with Democrats and Republicans, seemingly bypassing you. What do you think of that?
That may actually happen. I mean, obviously, appropriations bills need to be started in the House, but the Senate does have a revenue bill that they can turn around and turn into a CR and get it to us later this week. And that's the rumor on the street, that Senator Schumer might have something up his sleeve to deliver to the House later this week, Friday or Saturday. You know, this is a huge mess. And here we are at midnight, the night before an exam, and we've just started to study. And there was really no need for this to happen the way that it went down. And I've been frustrated by the process. I thought we would be better than this. And here we are scrambling, and no one knows what's next.
You know, there have been critics of those in your party who are zealously pursuing impeachment against Joe Biden. And I know the argument has always been we can walk and chew gum at the same time. But the reality, Congresswoman, I'm no slight to you, is that you can't. Oftentimes, it's one or the other. Do you think the impeachment push has now sort of stymied you guys, particularly on this?
Oh, absolutely not. The Oversight Committee is going to have its own hearing tomorrow on the impeachment inquiry, separate from anything else. Oversight doesn't handle appropriations or spending bills. That's all handled through the Appropriations Committee and the various committees of jurisdiction. And so I do believe, you know, we should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. I wish we could have done a better job. This should have been done in July, and that's why we're in this mess. But let's be honest, Neil, the reason that we're going to have a shutdown is because Republicans and Democrats alike have spent this country into oblivion. They've spent too much, and neither side are willing to sit down and figure out how are we going to balance the budget over the next 20 years. What's going to be responsible spending? What does that look like? And all they're going to do is kick the can down the road and do what they've always done, which is a CR or an omnibus or a minibus. And that's really not what the American people want. They want responsible spending, and they want both sides to fix the problem that they created. I'm just as frustrated as the American people are today.
You know, you have the big debate tonight, and I'm sure this issue will be coming up. Do you have, or have you made a decision on who you like, who you want to see?
I have not. I'll be watching if I can. If we got votes tonight, we'll see. But all eyes will be on Nikki Haley tonight. Neil, the last time we had a discussion was right before the first debate, and I said, do not underestimate Nikki Haley. And if she has another big night, I think you'll continue to see her to walk away from the rest of the field. Her numbers have been going up.
Indeed.
But unless other people get out, really, why would anybody go with somebody else right now? Because the former president is currently running away with it. But she's doing a fantastic job, and I expect her to shine tonight on stage. You
know, he's running away with it in your state, too, Congresswoman, by a country mile. Now, Nikki Haley seems to have emerged as a potent force in her own right, but not so much Senator Tim Scott. So as a South Carolinian watching both of these folks closely, how do you feel?
Well, I love them both. I go to church with Tim Scott, but there's something about seeing a strong woman from South Carolina, from my district, being out there and doing her thing. And it's amazing to see two people from South Carolina on the stage. I'll be watching them later tonight or tomorrow when I get to see the full clips of the debate tonight. But South Carolina, we have a lot to be proud of to see two residents of our state compete in tonight's debate.
There could be a third one, maybe you. The only reason why I mentioned it, your name has come up in some circles as a potential running mate for Donald Trump should he win the Republican nomination. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's interesting. There's a lot of talk about having a woman on the ticket. I do agree with that sentiment. I love my home state of South Carolina. I'm not looking for an upgrade at this time, but I'm going to be supporting the nominee, and I'm going to be doing everything I can to ensure that we have a big win in the White House in 2024, that we keep the U.S. House, and that we flip the Senate next year.
All right. So when you've made critical comments of the former president in the past, do you think that would hurt you?
Well, I call it like I see it. And when our party does a good job, I join hands. And when the Republicans don't, I speak out. I've been a strong independent voice for our country and for Republicans and Democrats alike. And that's what our country needs right now, because a lot of people are leaving both the Republican Party, they're leaving the Democrat Party because they're so disenfranchised with what they're seeing go down in Washington and across the country, that we really need someone on the ticket that's going to be an independent voice. And that's something I think we should be looking for in a VP.
All right, real quickly, I'd like to get your sense of what Governor Chris Sununu of New Hampshire and others have said. He'll be with me later in the show. We need a winnowing out of this field, and presumably before New Hampshire. Do you agree with that?
Well, if you want to have a mano-a-mano kind of election for the presidential nomination, you do have to winnow the field. There are several candidates in there today, and no one really can break out any further because of the number of candidates, the number of folks who are in the race. And so I think there are candidates after tonight that will have to really question where their polling is, where their fundraising is, and whether or not they stay in or if they drop out and support somebody else in the race. And it'll be up to voters, Neil, to decide who our nominee is going to be.
All right. The most important question of all I saved for last, and it's from my son, a Clemson student, who's very concerned about Clemson's bumpy start to the college football year. Are you alarmed?
Am I a what?
Alarmed.
Oh, am I alarmed? I'm a Citadel Bulldog fan, and I wear Citadel blue whenever I can.
Right. There we go. That ends that conversation.
Thank you.
Congresswoman, very good seeing you. We'll see how things sort out. Nancy Mace.